All right, and then you meet Flo, and Flo is like a wonderful person, nice person, okay?
Are we speaking of the lady from the commercials?
No, it's just in my subconscious, so I think of that, but that's not, it's totally
no.
But Flo here, Flo is a wonderful person, but Flo, she's a teacher, okay? Mm-hmm. Neat lady, and she's a teacher. And then we got one more guy, okay? And his name is Carl. And Carl is like, so this is a nice person. And Carl is like, you kind of a personality neutral. You're not really sure what's going on with him. And this guy is just, he's like in some sort of a political action committee, okay? So he's like trying to save the rainforest.
Good.
But you're a plumber. That's what your job is. Your job is you're a plumber. So the main service that you offer here is if you've got some sort of drain problem, you're the guy who solves these problems. Well, you want to network with all of them. So what you do is, step one is you take all these cards, all of the cards, not just some of the cards, but all the cards, and you go ahead and add them into your database.
What does that look like?
For me, it was a Microsoft Word, where I put their name first, then I put their occupation, okay? Then after that, I put their number. After that, I put their email, and then I put a problem for them that I can solve. Okay.
So you don't have to have some fancy, card reading, scanning. You've got a computer, you've got Word. Take the time to put these business contacts
And most people I know don't do this, and they
Yep.
try to make some fancy system, and they get stuck behind the technology. But before I even had Word, I just wrote them on a sheet of graph paper, and I kept all their names.
But the key is to have them in one place, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to have a centralized.
I met a guy who's a multimillionaire about 4 years ago who has them all physically today still in a book.
Oh, man.
Which just scares me.
Yeah.
But he was like, hey, I'm promoting this big event. Here's my book. You can call these people. And I'm like, really? You want me to touch the book? I mean, it was,
Yeah.
But so you put all these people, first you put them in the database. That's step one, okay? Now step number two is that you're going to then prioritize, like you said.
Yep.
So what we do is we say, you know what, this person has to be reached because this person has the highest net worth. They seem like just as good as anybody else. Going to have to reach this person. Well, then you say, hey, I'm going to have to reach this guy because he's got more businesses, probably more plumbing problems.
Right.
So he'll be second. Then the third person, you have this guy Caleb, and you say, well, this guy, he seems like he's a person who's well connected. I think he might be able to refer me some business. Well, then these other people, you're still going to send them items, but what we do is we sort these people, we prioritize these people based upon the likelihood that they're going to buy something from us.
So what does that look like when you prioritize them? How do you?
I make sure that I get a lunch with that guy.
Okay.
I'm going to try to call and follow up and say, hey, Dr. Z, it was a pleasure meeting you at the event. I would love to take you out to lunch. I would love to meet with you at some point. I know you're busy, but hey, I sent you something in the mail.
Good.
And I only have, if I'm an entrepreneur, I might only have $5 available for networking. So I might send, if I only have $5, I'm going to send him a little card. And I might not send a card to Carl or to Flo because I just don't have the money to do it.
Right.
So we have very limited resources, very limited time when we're starting a business. And so therefore, everyone goes in the database. They all get emails and newsletters and, but we only focus on the high priority items, the high value targets. So after we prioritize them, and the third thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we follow up.
Right.
And the follow-up has to be consistent. And so what you're doing is you want to consistently follow up like once a month with an email, once a month with a call, but you only have a limited number of time.
Right.
You wake up every day and you only have time to maybe call 5 or 6 people. You don't have time to call
prioritize.
20. So you have to prioritize who you're calling, and you have to write down on the business card what problem you're going to solve for them. Because if you start having 500 people you're networking with, and I'm not exaggerating, I literally had hundreds of people that I'm networking with. I could call somebody from an event a year ago and say, hey, Dr. Z, how you doing? Great. Hey, how are the horses? And I remember the horses from a meeting we had 2 years ago.
But you're not planning on just remembering that because you've got an incredible memory. You write that down on the business card.
Example, I know Dr. Zoellner loves croutons.
Good. Wow,
at Ruby Tuesdays.
Okay.
So that was the thing where, like, when I met him, I remember him mentioning that. So I offered to take him to lunch at Ruby Tuesdays for croutons.
See, and that's something that you got to write down, so you don't just plan on remembering it. But that's huge. I mean, that builds the rapport so fast.
Because remember, your network will always be your net worth. It'll always determine your net worth. The people you're around, if you add up the net worth of all the people that you're spending time with, and you come up with the average of their net worth, that will be your net worth. So if you have really close friends with 10 millionaires, chances are they're going to connect you to somebody who will help you also become successful. But if you're hanging around a bunch of people that aren't successful, it's very hard to get somewhere.